As promised, literacy fans, we are going to talk about temporary spelling. It's called invented spelling, but people got all freaked out about this.
What? You're teaching children they can spell any way they want. They'll never learn how to spell.
Well, these people that react in such a silly way have never read any research related to writing and literacy. Defining our terms, temporary spelling is using a letter to hold an idea. Mr. J, how do you spell pepper? Well, just use a letter or something to hold the idea. We will edit at the end. It enables children to write before they can spell. If they have to worry about spelling every word correctly, it's going to stymie their learning here. And temporary spelling is one of the best ways to develop phonetic awareness. Turtle, t, d, d, der, l, l. Children are listening to the sounds and finding letters for these sounds. As a teacher, you need to model and create the conditions whereby temporary spelling is acceptable. You are writing in front of your students, you're modeling, you say, I'm not quite sure how to spell that word. I'm just going to use a couple letters to hold the idea. Learning to write as learning to spell is a developmental skill. It goes in stages, and I'll show you some of these stages. Ideas. We write to create meaning. Good writing is creating ideas, not avoiding errors. There's a time and a place to edit, but we want to celebrate ideas. I am going to play football, all right? Creating meaning. Temporary spelling frees up cognitive space for writing. If you're not worrying about how to spell, you can use short-term memory to actually think about ideas. It is always good to communicate with parents what temporary spelling is, and so they know that some of the stuff will come home and may not be spelled correctly. Yes, you are attending to spelling, but that is another time and place. Remember, editing is stage 4 of the 5-step writing process. The writing stages, and it doesn't matter what you call these stages because different researchers have different stages. The important thing is to know that writing develops. Young children first, they scribble. They get the idea that this means something. And then their writing takes kind of linear shapes. They understand that it has to go across. And then you see separate symbols and then mock letters, and they can read their first name with some omissions and consistent first name representation, and eventually they become fluent writers. Here's some examples. My nephew Thor, he's got a T in there and some kind of letter-like shapes. There you see the scribbles. Gus, 3.5 years old, some kind of letter-like things, and he knew you had to put a stamp on it, but this is his letter to Andy. Dear Dan, I rode my bike without training wheels. All right, this is his story. This is his letter. This is called driding. Gus looks more like Gug. All right, this is okay. We don't freak out about it. We know this is an important stage in learning to write. Dear Andy, how are you? Andy, how are you? I am at Abby's. I'm at Abby's house. When are you coming? Sven. Done independently. Okay. Gus, 4.5. Something about sad. Elmo fell in the snow. Dear Dan, you shot the biggest buck. 4.5. And again, we didn't freak out. We knew this was an important stage. To Andy, I like to go sliding. Yes. 4.5. We didn't freak out. We didn't make him go back and write it correctly. We knew exposing him to writing would enable him. Dear Andy, I like sliding with you. Andy, my name is Gus. My favorite show is Zumbabafu. You can figure that out. Oh, this is what Gus wanted to do at Christmas. He made a checklist. Play 2 games of Candyland. Play cards. Eat some ice cream. Do some dot-to-dot. So before Christmas, he had this whole list. 5 years, 3 months. 5.5. Dear Andy, thank you for the games and the mazes. Email, entirely by his own. Hi, Andy. I hope that you are having a good time in Mankato. This is from Gus. And again, you can see the stages here. One of my students, Fairytopia, Barbie. Someone 6 years old. Thor at 3. Thor. You learn to love this stuff. Okay, temporary spelling. Do it. Don't be freaked out about it. Remember, editing is stage 4.